Hi everyone. There's 4 things in the Garden of Doom this morning. Show you what they are. One's a mat. You have to learn how to use your hands to point at stuff. The other thing is the Black Shadow, Doris, and the unnamed Grifter over there. As you can see, the old square taper, the old crank, 38 tooth crank. Check it out. I've got to get another bottom bracket. It's got to have a little bit more of a left hand bias, so I'm going to look around for a bottom bracket that fits. But now I've got that in and I know that works, I've got that measurement to go off, you know. So that's what I'm going to do. So I know that's going to work. So I've got to space out the bottom bracket to as far out as I can go get it as well. And that'll be JD. So I need to take the cassette off the Black Shadow, and I want to get quite a wide enough ratio so this has got 6 decent speeds on it. And that's the secret. The other thing I'm going to do with the gears, so this is obviously that derailleur, possibly that one, maybe that one, is obviously going on here, all right? So I need some way of shifting that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a cable along the chainstays up the tube, and then probably the old-fashioned lever type. I want to try and keep the handlebars sort of clear of shifters and stuff like that, because there's a lot of stuff going to be going on the handlebars. I'm not going to touch the foam. That's staying. You can't touch the foam on a Grifter. If you've got decent foam on a Grifter handlebars, you can't touch it. Nobody can try and dream about touching the foam on a Grifter. Better wake up and apologise. So, shifter may be there, and the old I'm not using the original Grifter shifter, because I'll tell you why in another later video. But they're bad. They're bad for your knackers hitting that tube. Oh, God. So that's the plan for today. So what first thing I do is I've got to take that cassette off. That's an easy thing. I'm not even going to video that, but I'll show you when it's off. And then start dismantling that back wheel, and then choose some bits, either that derailleur or whatever. And once I get it all set out and ready to start putting stuff on here, I'll turn the old camera of doom back on. Right, so the cassette's off. There's the old BS Black Shadow. Right, cassette's off. Obviously went on there. You just undo that with a chain whip, and the old cassette of life comes off. Right, so there's the 2 cogs. That's just a lock ring that holds it on, and these are the 2 smallest cogs, sprockets. I don't know if I'm going to be able to use any of those, I don't know. But the job now, what I've got to do now is see these little rivets. There's one there, look. One there, one there. 3 rivets. I've just got to take the top of those rivets off, and then this should pretty much fall apart. That's the plan anyway. I think that's going to happen. I think that's what we got. Right, do you want to know a secret to grinding? I'll tell you a secret. If you're going to have to grind anything, if you're not used to it, I mean, I do this now, and I've been using grinders for 25 years. Like sometimes every day for bloody weeks, it seems. If you need a grinder, right, don't go out and spend billions of quid on one. I bought that from Lidl's, right? And Lidl's are sponsoring this video, by the way. No, they're not. I bought that from Lidl's about, God, it's got to be about 8 years ago now, right? And the secret to grinding is always get a variable speed grinder, because I guarantee you, unless you're taking tons and tons and tons of metal off, which you hardly ever are on a grinder, that's all you need. That's all you need. All right? That's all the speed you need. You don't need any of this. when you're grinding welds down or anything like that, just have it on slow. You can't have it on as slow as it'll go, but the slower the better. It just digs in more, I find, and it just takes it. You know, it's just as quick, and it's so much safer. So it's all going well. So like I say, look, I just tickled these little rivets off. You can get them nice and close. You can see how lightly I've had to. I can do it one-handed because I've just, you know, I'll show you what I've done. So look how slow the grind. I don't know if you can hear me when the grinder's on. So look, watch how slow the grinder is. This is all you need to do. Right? So that's it. That's all you need to do. You don't need to go any harder than that. You know, you don't need a grinder at full speed, you know, 10,000 RPM, you know, saw through the, you know, get it to, you know, miss and hit the carpet and run off and go straight through the frame of your black shadow when you don't need it to. Ignore the fart. I shouldn't have filmed that. So I'll show you what I did. So these are the 3 rivets, look. So I don't know if you can see on the end of the rivet, maybe if I do it like that, you can see that the end's a little bit proud of the shaft of the rivet, but this end I've trimmed it down, look. So if you trim that down, yeah, excuse me, basically what I did is I just ran the grinder, again, slow speed, and I just tickled that edge off across there like that, you know, and let the grinder spin it round. And they all just fell out, basically. What I'm left with all these cogs, look. And I'll tell you what, I think one of those is going to come in handy, or one of these spiders or something. Anyway, I'm hoping I'm going to be able to use that 34 ring and whatever else afterwards. I'm going to have a look. So basically, what you have to do is, see these little tabs on the inside face of that? I don't know if we're going to do it with one hand. All these little tabs, right? Basically, on the grifter, wherever that is it been nicked? Oh, there it is. On the grifter sprocket, there's 3 tabs. And if you shave 5 of these down, if you file 5 of these down, you can get 3 of them to line up exactly with the grifter hub, and they just literally fit on. And I've got spacers, I've got this, whatever these spider things are, I've got those to use if I need them. I'm going to have to take this off. I really don't want to, because it's iconic grifter. If I can use that, I will, but I don't think I'm going to be able to use it, because I think it's taking up the space of maybe, you know, some sort of portion of a disc, of a sprocket that I'm going to be using. So I'd love to be able to keep that on there, but I don't think I'm going to be able to. If I can, I will. Anyway, I'm going to give these all a clean up, see which ones I'm going to use, and then come back to it. Right, so I've taken the wheel off and taken the snap ring off. That obviously goes on there, and it fits in that gap there. What you do is you just get a screwdriver, a little broken electric screwdriver, put it in there, lever it round, and once you leave it to around there, push it in, and this will ping off. Ping! Like that, and it will land there like that. That's why I left that knot on, because I didn't want it to land over there in that bush. Right, so then you just grab that, take that off. There's a spacer there. I don't know if that's supposed to be that way round or not. And there's this protector, what I really want to keep. I love it. Look at it. Look how thin it is. It'll take your head off. Woo! Right, now what I do is I put that on top of that. Obviously all these inside tabs are the same on all the sprockets, otherwise you wouldn't be able to get them on. And hold on, I just need to see it myself first. Right, there we go. Right, can you see 3 of those teeth, one there, and one there, on this original grifter sprocket actually line up perfectly with these, so I have to file all the rest of them down, and then this will fit straight over that and fit on, and then we'll be happy days. Oh God, old school, man. Don't wear no gloves. Yeah. And my friend, look. Yeah. Hello, sir. How you doing? Anyway, always know when it's time to press stop on the record button. Right, progress. So, if you haven't got a vise, use mole grips. If you haven't got mole grips, go and buy some mole grips. Can you see on that bottom section there, I've filed the tabs down. I've filed 2 tabs down. So what it turned out to be is either the ones with the holes lined up, so there's 3 holes, they line up with the grifter tab. Yeah, 3 tabs. 3 tabs on my grifter. 3 holes in the cassette. They line up with the tabs. So I didn't want to use them because that's the weakest tabs on there. So what I did was I found other tabs that fitted. So the one to the right of the hole, that one there, and that one there, they line up as well. So I filed down the one with the hole and the one to the left. So I've got to do that one there, the one with the hole and the one to the left, and that one there, the one with the hole and the one to the left. And then this will fit on there. Looking at my gear calculator, I've gone really extreme here, really extreme. That's a 32th cog. If I use a 38, where it is on the grifter, 38 chain set, there. If I use the 38 chain set on the front, I can get away with using a 30 big sprocket on the back. And you ready for this? A 15 small sprocket. Now, I really don't know if that's going to shift. And if it's not, we'll go again with a different one. You know, that's just the way it is. But we're going to try it. Just try it. Doesn't matter, does it? If it don't work, we use a bigger sprocket. Anyway, so I've got to carry on filing those down, and then I'll come back to you when it fits on the old... And check this out, just by luck, just by sheer luck. This is why you keep all your old tools, what you haven't used for like 30 years. Just by sheer luck. Look how that fits in there. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better fitting file to take that one down and that one down. So that one and that one have got to come down next. Look, if I just put that in there and line it up so I'm not hitting that one to the right, which is the one I'm going to use, give it a bit of that, and it's down. It takes about 5 minutes to take 2 of those down. Right, catch you later. Right, so here it is, finished. You have to file these little tabs down a bit as well, just to get them to go over, because then they're not as rounded. They're more square type on the Shimano cassette, so you have to file the edges of those down a bit. Let me just line it up. And so what I've got here is it will go on. All right, there you go. It's on. Is it on? Yeah, she's on. Right, so that is on, but I don't know if you can tell. Look, that's quite a tight fit on there. It's not, you know, it's not too tight. I mean, I've got it on with my hand, and that's bloody perfect. That's what I want. The big L. I mean, the lowercase L. Lexi in the house. Lexi, come on. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do you want some? Oh yeah, the old ears. The only cat on the planet that likes his ears being stroked. Look at that. Apart from the other 2 cats I've got here. Hey, right. So that's on. I don't know if I'm going to carry on today. The old current bun's getting a bit low in the sky, isn't it, mate? It's, you know, it's sit down time. Sit down with the cats time coming up. But this is the next one I've got to do. So I've got to make this one. So I've got to file all the teeth down on this one to leave the 3 tabs. I might have a go at it now. If I do, I'll show you. What do you think, Lexi? Yes or no? Hey? So we might get this to fit tonight. If not, it'll be tomorrow. 2001 Space Odyssey. Oh wow. God, I'm so good at special effects. It's a couple of days later because just had lethal rain. But it's all done, it's all finished. And I have to say, as far as bikes go, with derailleurs and shifting and all problems that you think you're going to have, this is probably the smoothest shifting bike I've ever had in my life. You know, between the two cogs. I'm not talking about the Sturmey Archer, because it is called a Sturmey in my world. No, the derailleur, it's a 15 tooth difference. So basically I didn't use the 2001 Space Odyssey ring. I had to use a bigger one. In fact, I knew I had to use a bigger one, I just picked up the wrong one for that bit of the video. Anyway, what have I done? So it's all done, it's finished, it fits, it works, it shifts, the derailleur don't move, the chain don't slip off, it swaps between the two ratios, really nice, you know, and even pedals backwards. Can't believe it. It's been really easy to do this. So basically, what did I do since I left you yesterday or 2 days ago? So I made the second ring. So obviously did the same thing as what I did on this one, just fold the tabs down. And what I did is I put a spacer. That's what is in between these Shimano cassette rings when they're in one block. I didn't even know they were in there. Anyway, what I did was I shaved all of the tabs off of it. I just thought it's easier and quicker to do that, because it's never going to spin. It doesn't matter. It hasn't got to be. It doesn't have to be locked to the hub, because it's just a spacer. So the spacer's in between the two cogs. You won't be able to see it, but it's in there. It's in between the two cogs. So that cog went on first, then that spacer goes in there, then that cog on there, then one of those a little thin Sturmey Archer. I always call it Sturmey. I used to call them Sturmey Archers when I was a kid. I just can't stop doing it, and I'm not going to stop doing it. So one of the little Sturmey Archer original spacers on after that, and then the lock ring, and it all fits. It works. Then there's that it's like a 1/4 inch spacer that goes just on the inside of the axle to the hub. So I took that out because I thought, right, I need to make up the thickness of this derailleur so I can get that on safely. I can't just do this and blag it. You know, everything has to be right, that it's going to last, you know. Like, I've got to ride this across the Northern Territories in Australia. I need this to be reliable. So everything's done as well as I can do it. So there's enough thread on the axle to get that on nicely. You know, this sits in the right place. I ground that down. You know, you just look at your derailleur hanger and see what you've got to do to get yours to fit. I had to grind this down a bit, so I've got a spare one that I'm going to grind down again the same in case this one snaps for whatever reason, because that is quite close to the old floor. Not that close though, not as close as I thought it would be. It's just started raining again, but hopefully I can show you the old shifting mechanism. So let me just put this down, turn the bike over, and I'll have a look and see if I can show you before it really starts hammering it down. Yeah, I just sort of realised I'm not going to be able to show you how this shifts because I've only got one hand. So anyway, you can see how smooth it runs. It's really nice. It really runs smooth. It hardly makes any noise. Can I get that to shift? There you go. I'm cranking it with my arm. So yeah. So the phone's going to be a bit wobbly. So anyway, look. So I have tried this with a cable yesterday, and there's it. We'll shift down to the fast ring, and that's about as much as I can show you with one hand. But yeah, so what's left to do on it? Not much. New bearings for the hub. New ball bearings for the front hub. That is a little bit noisy, that hub. It's a little bit rough, but I'll tell you what, now I've got the old play set up right on that. There's no play in that wheel whatsoever, and you can see how long I tell you, these Strummies, you can't beat a Strummy. We're going to see how long it lasts. We're going to see if we can get around the world on a Sturmey Archer hub. Wish me luck, people, I'm going to need it.